Good evening and welcome to a NewsNation Special Report. I'm Marnie Hughes in Chicago. Leland Vittert, my colleague, is in Washington, D.C. tonight ahead of the State of the Union address happening tomorrow, the first of Joe Biden's presidency coming during a massive crisis in Ukraine. We're going to get to more on that in just a moment. But first, breaking news tonight. Russian troops closing in on Kyiv, the capital, after several unsuccessful nights and Ukrainians fending off many attacks. The damage and the toll are evident. 352 Ukrainian civilians are dead, including 14 children. We know right now a massive Russian military convoy is headed toward Kyiv. There is also the heightened nuclear threat, with Vladimir Putin putting his forces on alert. Leland, this convoy is a lot larger than we originally thought. And as I said a moment ago, it is the early morning hours now after 6 a.m. in Kyiv as they prepare for another day of fighting.
Right. Sunlight now on day 6. This ended day 5. And clearly the Russians are nowhere near where they thought they were going to be. We take pictures of the convoy. These are commercial satellite images taken of the area just northeast of Kyiv. And you can see the convoy. In this are fuel trucks, because a lot of the Russian tanks and armor have run out of fuel. They also have resupply trucks, because we understand that they thought their soldiers were going to be in cities and have available Ukrainian food supplies. They don't. There's additional Russian armor, meaning tanks and self-propelled artillery, and then also rocket launchers in this as well, to be supported by helicopters, armed helicopters and attack helicopters, and then also by air support. What we don't quite understand is exactly how close to Kyiv this convoy has been able to get. If we switch to the maps, you can see that the northeast part of the country, especially around northeast of Kyiv, is controlled by the Russians. And you see the two red lines coming down towards the capital, right to left. Those are the advance routes of these convoys. The western part of Ukraine is still controlled by the Ukrainians themselves, and that's how you are going to get resupply in. Take a look now at the drone video of what's going to happen to these convoys. These are Turkish drones that are owned by the Ukrainians and are used to attack these Russian convoys. Obviously, at some point, they run out of ammunition, and that's what's being resupplied. The shot of this is very important, because what is being taken out is a multiple rocket launch system, MRLS, of the Russians. They are using these to target civilian cities on the way to Kyiv in a way that's very different than what you'd think of a normal army trying to attack another army. This is the Russians following their doctrine of trying to bring entire civilian populations to its knees by barbaric tactics, in this case using thermobaric weapons that explode and send a shockwave out and then collapse the lungs of hundreds, if not thousands, of civilians anywhere in the shock and blast wave. They have no military value. You can see the Ukrainians are certainly continuing to give just as well as they're getting. This is a number of Russian convoys that had been burned out and attacked by the Ukrainians. The one key issue here is how much resupply. Remember that the United States and Great Britain gave the Ukrainians a lot of anti-tank weapons and a lot of anti-armor weapons, and also some anti-aircraft weapons. A lot of those have run out, Marnie, and now it is this race against time. What will reach Kyiv and these other cities that are holding out quicker? The resupply from the United States and other NATO allies that are flowing in, or these Russian reinforcements and convoys that measure in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of troops.
I mean, just looking at these images on the screen, Leland, of these tanks blown out, I mean, it is a bloody battle. It is a brutal battle so far. I guess the big question right now is what happens if all of these weapons that are being supplied by the U.S. and other countries don't make it in time?
Yeah, for as ugly as this war has already been, and clearly it has been a pitched battle that the Russians were really not expecting. In fact, the Russian soldiers have been told they were going to be welcomed as liberators into Ukraine. That has not happened. But it has been largely fought on the battlefield and on the highways, in and out of these cities and around these cities. The real danger is going to be for the civilian populations when it gets inside the cities. So you take, for example, Kyiv, and already hundreds, if not thousands, of people have turned out as volunteers. There are the young who say they never want to live under the Soviet regime. There are the old who remember what it was like to live under the Soviets and say they would rather die than live under Vladimir Putin's rule. And this is what awaits the Russian military, is hundreds, if not thousands, of Molotov cocktails that are being made. And this is just one of the many ways that an insurgency begins. They're making roadside bombs. They're distributing sniper rifles into apartment buildings. They're making Molotov cocktails. And it goes to show you, Marnie, just how long and bloody this war could be. We're used to things in television playing out in the matter of days and hours. That's what Vladimir Putin thought would happen. And clearly, it is not going according to the Russian plan.